Coming up on today's episode of Four Verts is Browns owner Jimmy Haslam star hunting once again. There's a wild thought and idea out there that Nick Saban and Arch Manning to Cleveland in 2026 could be a possibility. I'm going to react to it coming up here on Four Verts. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Four Verts, where we talk football every single day, NFL, college football, so hit that subscribe button. Colin Cowherd started to connect some dots when it comes to the possibility of Nick Saban and Arch Manning uniting in Cleveland next year. There was that report that Saban could be getting the itch to coach again. Obviously, Arch is a polarizing college prospect with the last name of Manning. So let's kind of just get into what Cowherd said, and I'll give my reaction, my thoughts as well. He said, Jimmy Haslam, owner of the Browns, is a huge SEC booster and leans heavily on the Manning family. That's not make-believe. Arch Manning is part of the Manning family. This is where Nick Saban comes in. Saban is not only close to Jimmy Haslam, but to the Manning family as well. Nick Saban, if he could land a top quarterback, I'm told, he would take a phone call for the NFL. Nick Saban has coached with the Browns under the Belichick staff. This is not a conspiracy theory. Cowherd continues, Haslam's circle of trust, according to an article last year, is the Manning family and Jimmy Sexton. Sexton is Nick Saban's agent. Haslam loves headlines. Manziel, Baker, and Watson, two teams in the league, are going to be bad, the Saints and Browns. This story is a poorly kept secret. And he's basically connecting a lot of dots with one little nugget of reporting in there that he's been told by somebody that Nick Saban would take a call from an NFL team if the opportunity to draft a quarterback high was available, or I would assume if a veteran proven quarterback was in place. He referenced the Jim Harbaugh to Chargers example with Justin Herbert there. And then there are some other interesting dots there. Like I'll be honest, like Jimmy Haslam is from the South. He is a big booster in the SEC. Nick Saban does have ties to the Cleveland Browns. There is a report out there that he could be getting the itch to coach again. Now, there are a lot of things with this that are far-fetched, unlikely, and we will certainly get into those. But I will say this. In a vacuum, could I buy the idea that Nick Saban would want to coach again? Absolutely. I never thought he was going to retire. I thought he was going to die on the field. I think it surprised all of us when he announced his retirement from Alabama last year. Year off of coaching, I could see him getting that itch. That's all he's done his entire freaking life. Subscribe to the channel because when big storylines and headlines are out there, I give my spin on it. I give my take, give my reaction. We, of course, just cover everyday NFL news, things going on around training camp. We'll have our divisional previews, some college football content coming up as well. We cover it all, so hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications as well. Okay, why this is all very unlikely, other than like the obvious of the amount of dominoes that have to fall just to even make this happen. Number one is that Arch Manning is very unlikely to declare for the draft after this year. This is pretty well documented. Obviously, you see mock drafts, and sometimes he's in there, sometimes he's not. Some people are still going to talk about him. He's going to be talked about a lot, both because he's the quarterback at Texas, his last name is Manning, and he's going to be in the center of the college football world. But people in the know, people connected to the Mannings, it's kind of obvious, and it has been made pretty clear that the plan has and has been for a while that he's going to stay for 2 more years. He wants to start for multiple years and then turn pro. And there's a lot of reasons why you would want to do that. Number one, he's making a lot of money in NIL. Number two, even if he wasn't, he doesn't need the money right now. His last name is Manning. I think he's well compensated and taken care of. And number three, the Mannings have done their homework. They know the history. Guys who are only 1-year starters in college, which that would be the case, Arch has only started 2 games before this year, they don't translate well to the NFL historically. There is a long history of that. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It means that most of the guys that have had success in the NFL started for at least 2 years in college. That's just what history tells us. So given how much money he's already making, given the fact up to this point he hasn't played much, it's widely expected that he's going to stay for multiple years. Now, if he wins a Heisman and wins the national championship and is considered the number one pick. Could that change? Yeah, things can change all the time. But unless he has this magical season, odds are he's going to stay at Texas for at least the next 2 years. Okay, number 2. While I do think Nick Saban would be interested, I do buy that report from Cowherd, and I did believe the chatter a week or two ago, whenever that was, they could be getting the itch to coaching. He turned 74 in October, okay, like this October. So he's already not coaching this year when he'll turn 74. Let's say next year some jobs open up. Is an NFL team going to hire a guy who hasn't coached in the NFL since the early 2000s and is going to turn 75 in this season? Are they going to hire that person? Because it's one thing for the Raiders to hire Pete Carroll, who was only out of the NFL for 1 year and had a bevy of success in the NFL for a decade and a half for the Seahawks leading up to the year prior to this one, versus Nick Saban, who knows how it would have gone in Miami, but he bolted after 2 years and then retired from the college game 2 years prior. It would be the oldest head coach hire in the history, by the way. It would actually top Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll set the record getting hired. But again, he's recently been coaching in the NFL and has recently had success. Nick Saban has been an NFL head coach for 2 years, and he bolted to go back to the college game. So my point is not that he couldn't do the job. Is that person out there? Is Jimmy Haslam that person to do it? Maybe he is. He loves a good headline. He loves the attention. But even for Haslam, that's a pretty big risk. You're going to hire 74-year-old, going on 75-year-old Nick Saban to try to get your franchise on track. I mean, what's the best case scenario? He coaches till he's 80? Is he going to be on the sideline at 83 years old? Probably not. Now, like I said with Pete and the Raiders, is okay, you hire Pete Carroll, do it for 3 to 5 years, get the train on the tracks, hand it off to someone else. You could have that same logic. But again, Pete's done this recently, and he's done it well. Saban hasn't coached in the NFL for over 20 years. So that's a bit of a reach when it comes to bringing in Nick Saban, who is an unbelievable coach, but again, has not had much success in the NFL. And then number 3, this all is to be assumed that they would fire Kevin Stefanski in this scenario, who I think is a pretty solid coach. He's taken the Browns, again, the Browns, to the playoffs twice. He's won a playoff game. He's won Coach of the Year twice, amidst a lot of chaos coming from the owner himself. Now, you could say, well, the owner's nuts. I mean, if he thinks he can get Nick Saban, yeah, he might fire Kevin Stefanski, but, unless this year is just embarrassing, and Cowherd may be right, they could be the worst or second worst team in the league. QB situation's a mess, but if they win 6 or 7 games, are they just going to punt on Stfansky? I guess they could, but I don't know how fair that would be given what they're dealing with this year at the quarterback position. So there's just a lot of things that would have to surprise us that would even make this possible in the first place. Now, I'm curious what you guys think. Should the Browns hire Nick Saban? Certainly be entertaining. From a just content creator and from an entertainment and just interesting storyline standpoint, I'd love to see Nick Saban get any NFL head coaching job. I'd love to see if he could do it in his mid-70s. But if I'm asking you if you think the Browns should do it, I don't know. It seems pretty risky. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Now, here's why it's not impossible. Number 1, and I said this earlier, Nick Saban always felt like a lifer, always felt like he was going to coach until he died, or he was so old that he just feasibly couldn't do it. I think Nick Saban could take a college job today and have him in the playoff this year. He is that good of a coach. But A, that's college, not the NFL. He hasn't done the NFL. And B, it just does seem unlikely. But again, it was surprising when he retired. So I could buy the fact that he would like to coach again. And I will say this too. If Nick Saban returns, I don't think it'll be college unless Kalen DeBoer flops at Bama and they just beg him to come back. I don't think he's taking another SEC job or a Big Ten job or a Big 12 job. If he coaches again, I think it would either be in the UFL, like Spring League, or in the NFL. I just don't think he's that interested in adding or subtracting to his college resume. Now, maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's just I just love coaching. Don't care. I'll go coach for Florida if they fire what's his name? I can't even think of the head coach's name. Billy Napier. But that would surprise me. I don't think he's going that path. I do think the NFL, if they came calling, he would at least listen. And ultimately, why you can't completely rule it out is, look, Jimmy Haslam's kind of a nut, man. He just kind of does whatever he wants, and he doesn't really care about the repercussions. He'll give Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed when no other team was going to do that. Why? Because he wanted to be bold, and he thought it would work. And, he drafted Johnny Manziel, and he drafted Shedeur Sanders after Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski took Dylan Gabriel because he knew it would sell a bunch of jerseys, and he was enamored with them. So you never know with Haslam. I think all this is a long shot, but Cowherd made some interesting points in terms of connecting the dots, the connections. I think the Arch part of it is almost more unlikely than Saban in some ways, just given the fact that he's not expected to come out after this next year. But it would be an interesting storyline. Saban and Arch teaming up in Cleveland. I'd be watching, that's for sure. All right, guys, appreciate you for tuning in to this episode of 4 Verts. If you like episodes like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll be back soon with more content.